The next area is sprinkler applied liquid waste. Now we got to first be concerned about wastewater treatment. There's about 3 things we can do. We can put water through a treatment plant, what they call a tertiary treatment plant. And what that does is the plant breaks down the bacteria to where it becomes pure enough to release it back into the environment. That's a very expensive process, but that's what most municipalities have to do with their sewerage. Because of the bacteria that humans pass on into the system, they ought to make sure that they kill those bacteria so that you don't get things like outbreaks of cholera in the area. You don't have that problem with animal waste. And in animal waste, we generally will take that material, because we don't get the same diseases animals get. So we can take those waste and flush them into a lagoon. So that's another way to deal with it. Just run that water and put it into a holding lagoon, let the water evaporate out of it, and let the sludge settle out. Now you know there's a little ecological problem there. It's called smell, and it does put off a tremendous odor, and you need to make sure you're in the right spot to have an open lagoon, otherwise you're going to run into all kinds of problems with your neighbors. And another thing we can do is we can pump that water out onto a field and let that waste land on the ground, and then let the ground act as the purifier. And you know, as the bacteria in the ground work on the bacteria in the waste, it breaks it down and purifies it.
I know a guy, he farms out by us, and he farms right there by the dump, and he takes all that wastewater from the dump, and every year he goes out with a bunch of trucks and he all just sprays it all onto his wheat land and just dips it under.
Yeah, now, yeah, they will take that sludge. Is that what you're talking about? The sludge coming from the runoff from the city dump. Okay. Yeah, our city dump happens to have it's a lined pit. They don't let that water soak into the ground. They actually put a liner. They're trapping it all in there. And so the runoff they capture, and then they check it for quality. And we're going to see here pollutants is next on the list. So they're monitoring it for pollutants. If it's pure enough, they can go out and spray it or inject it back onto other farm ground. In fact, the city takes their sludge from the wastewater treatment plant, and they bring it and they inject it up here in the old city dump. This big field just west of the soccer field and the big signboard on campus, all the way down to Kmart, is the old city dump. And they've come in and put about 4 foot of dirt on top of that thing, and it has to sit there for 20 or 30 years to let all the methane gas leach out of that dumpage. And in the process, what they're doing is they're bringing all the liquid sludge and slurry from the wastewater treatment plant from the city, and they inject it into the ground. And then they let the ground, the bacteria, naturally take care of purifying that slurry and sludge.
Isn't that all supposed to the river, though?
Well, it is, but they know how close they dare get as far as the leachability of the material. You know, that stuff will clean itself up real fast. Bacteria doesn't dissolve into the water droplets and then leach on down in the ground. It's pretty well fixed. Wherever it lands, that's where it's going to be, and then the ground will work on it right at that point. So if you just spray it on the surface, you got a little problem there, because number one, it's going to smell for a while until the bad stuff gets broken down. And also, while it's on the surface, who knows what's going to walk through there. You know, your dog or cat or even guys out hunting or whatever can get some awful nasty stuff on their bodies, and it'll make you real sick. Generally, you get dysentery from it. That's generally what you'll end up with.